Hello there. Hi, how's it going? Long time no see. If you're wondering where I currently am, don't worry about it. If you're my friend wondering how I got into your house, don't worry about it. We're gonna be doing something a little bit different today, okay? Let me take you on a journey. Imagine you're me a few months ago, babysitting someone's dogs, and in that time, you get a little bored. You wanna watch something on the old TV, on the old streaming platform. Literally lifetimes worth of entertainment, but nothing looks good. And then you see it in the center of the screen in beautiful gold lettering, Gods of Egypt. And in that moment, there is nothing more that you would rather watch in the entire world than a god fucking awful movie that came out in 2016 about Egyptian gods starring only white people. Hi, welcome to my TED Talk. If you remember the 2010s at all, you may remember that there was like a certain trend going on. I don't know what was in the water, but there was just an influx of horrendously bad, high budget historical fantasy movies. Now, a lot of these movies were just set in like vague historical fantasy settings. Some of them, and the ones I'm interested in, were very specifically centered around mythology. I love mythology. I also love shitty movies, and more importantly, I love wasting my time. So I decided, wouldn't it be a little fun to try to find every single shitty mythology movie that I could from the 2010s era and watch them to finally see just how bad they are. Earlier on in my life, I valued my time somewhat. No such conflict exists in me now. I want to watch these terrible, terrible, terrible movies and waste all of my time because I will have the best time. I'm sure someone out there could do like a really interesting like deep dive into like the trends of the era, you know, actually see what was going on in the film and television industry to try to get to the bottom of this. I'm not doing that. I just want to roast these movies. As I mentioned, there were a ton of like vaguely historical themed movies like The Great Wall or Pompeii, Prince of Persia. Those are all great. Those are all vaguely historical movies, may or may not be based on a video game. That's not what I'm looking at. I want to look at specifically the mythology ones. Now, in looking into this, I was doing my best to try to find like as much, you know, like mythological representation as I could. The options were limited. If you know of any movies that aren't centered around ancient Europe and or the Mediterranean area, please let me know. I would love to watch some. Would love to see some shitty mythology movies out of like China. I would love to see some out of like Africa or South America. Like that would be fucking rad. But all I got were Perseus and Theseus and Hercules and another Hercules and also sometimes Egyptian gods. Like I want to see Gilgamesh. When are they gonna make a Gilgamesh movie? Now, as these are all, you know, movies related to mythology, to different like religious beliefs around the world, let's be clear, I am going to hate on everyone equally. I'm not specifically targeting you, I'm targeting everyone. We feel? Okay, great. By the way, I'm not going to be touching on whether or not they're historically or mythologically accurate because quite frankly, I don't care. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for, are they a good time? But yeah, all of these movies were not good. I will say that. I'm not going to go into the fucking plot details of the movie, mostly because quite frankly, I don't know what happened in most of them. I did not know what was happening. It could have been because I was writing shit down, or it could have just been because they were very badly made and they didn't have an actual plot happening. But regardless, here are those movies. First up, Gods of Egypt, the movie that started this whole thing. I very distinctly remember watching the trailers of this movie come out in like 2015. At that time, I could tell that this was going to be horseshit. I knew it wasn't going to be good. Why is there a Danish man and a Scottish man as two Egyptian gods? That's not where Egypt is. The basic plot of Gods of Egypt, it basically goes through this whole story arc with Horus fighting against Set. And in the meantime, there's a white boy in Egypt whose girlfriend died and he has to go get her back. And so in order to do that, he tricks Horus into freeing her from the underworld. Sounds good. This movie stars Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Chadwick Boseman, Elodie Young, Gerard Butler, Jeffrey Rush, and a guy whose name is Brenton Thwaites. I feel like you've seen him. He was also the kid in Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Also, upon doing further research into him, did in fact see that he was in the Titans show as Dick Grayson. No! As this movie starts off, it opens up brilliantly. The CGI, horrible. So bad. There is, in fact, a metal furry fight. Set and Horus get into a fight, but mid-fight they turn into giant metal furries. That's fine. Another thing that I noticed is that there's just like far too much parkour. This was really in like the parkour era. Beck's the name of the white kid running around in ancient Egypt. He's just doing parkour. Why? I don't know. As I mentioned before, the CGI is bad. I specifically wrote down the scene where he falls into a pit of CGI scorpions. Some of the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. The scorpions look like they came out of like the 2004 Scorpion King movie, but it was done 12 years later. What is the excuse for that? Later on down the line, Horus and Beck, and also I think Hathor, she's also in this. Are you done? They go up to see Ra, the all-powerful sun god. Turns out Ra is on a floating boat that's in space, and also the earth is flat, and also he is a white man, and also he takes off his hat at some point and has like a very long hidden like ponytail rat tail, like Zuko hair, but on an old man. It's very strange. Did I mention the earth was flat? The earth is flat. I also wrote down a bitch slap water comment. I don't know what that means. I also wrote down rock. That's it. That's the note. One of the things that I do appreciate about this is that they weren't trying to change people for this movie. You know, like the actors come in pasty as hell. They're not putting any makeup on them to make them look more Egyptian. I do appreciate that because in some of the movies that we see, that is not the case. They also don't care about accents. Gerard Butler is running around in full Scottish dialect. Doesn't matter. Once again, everyone is pretty pasty in this. I think in the entire movie, there's only maybe 3 main actors who are actually people of color. But one of them is Chadwick Boseman, and at any given point in time, there is about 57 of him on screen at the same time. So I think that makes up for it. Also, completely unrelated, there were in fact 2 different wives from Mad Max Fury Road in this movie. Did either of them have names? Possibly. I don't know. Why were both of them in there? Also, I don't know. But I recognize them. I recognize everyone. There is just like a Voltron-ass mech suit at some point. They're fighting on a tower. I don't know why. Beck is running around doing something. He's not important. And then at the end of the movie, in a wonderful conclusion, they did end up saving the girlfriend, whose name I do not know. They resolved this matter by killing Hathor instead. They got her real good in the last few minutes of the movie. Why? Male pain. Now, a running theme that I've also noticed in all of these movies is just misogyny. They hate women. Almost every movie here makes it very clear that they don't like women. They will not show women on screen, but when they do, they will be either heavily sexualized or hated on, or sometimes, a lot of the time, both at the same time. Hell yeah. By the way, Gods of Egypt, some of the weirdest dialogue I've ever seen. It's not that it's bad, it's just very much so that it's like the haha, this is the funny moment, now everyone laugh sort of dialogue that I hate. But it's funny because it's not funny.
You look glorious, Lord. I know.
Gods of Egypt, all in all, I give it a solid 4 out of 10. It was everything that I dreamed it would be, and I had a wonderful time watching it. It was a great choice. Next up, I watched Hercules, a movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This movie starts off just incredibly. They're singing praises for Hercules. They're talking about how much Hera loves him. He's the glory of Hera. His name is Heracles. They're singing the praises of Hercules. They're like, you're a demigod. You're the son of Zeus. You've done all of these labors. Isn't this incredible? And then it cuts to The Rock and he's just like, nah, that's all made up. That's just for clout. And he's like, I'm just a guy. Hilarious. I love that. Did I also mention that The Rock has a full head of hair in this? It's long, flowing, beautiful hair. I love it. Was there a plot to this movie? Oh yeah, let's see. This is Hercules post slaughtering of his wife and child. He was put under, like a spell. He was poisoned or whatever. He killed his wife and child and he's like, I did that. That was my bad. Unrelated to that, totally not connected. There's a king who wants to hire him for some job and then the guy turns out to be evil. Spoilers, he's the guy who poisoned him. In this movie, we've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We've got Ian McShane being a weird old fucking man like he always is. We've got Rufus Sewell. We've got Joseph Fiennes. John Hurt also being a weird old man. And Rebecca Ferguson. I love Rebecca Ferguson. Now, don't you worry. Rebecca Ferguson is not the only woman in this movie. There is one other woman, I guess two other women. There's Megara, who is slaughtered immediately. She's not even alive in this. She's just in flashbacks. But don't worry, we have the girl, the myth, the legend, Atalanta. She's also introduced in like a crop top and booty shorts. It's not great. Like this is definitely like 2014, like men putting a highly sexualized woman into a movie and being like, we're feminist. She has a sword. I did say that I don't care about accuracy. However, in this one, it is very funny because they just like literally like pull names out of Greek mythology and like throw them together into like a band of mercenaries with Hercules. Hercules is also a mercenary. Did I mention that? It doesn't matter. It won't come up again. They're from like all over the range of historical Greece. Like they have Atalanta in there. They also say that this is like post-Trojan War, but also Tydeus is in there, who's like the father of Diomedes, who was in the Trojan War. So like, I don't know where things are going there. It doesn't matter. Historical accuracy, be damned. I'm having a fun time. Anyway, everyone in this little ragtag mercenary team is a little fucking freak in their own ways. And then there's Atalanta, who's the girl. That's her role. This movie had a fight scene in it that is one of the most interesting fight scenes I've ever seen, mostly because of the weaponry that they give this band of mercenaries. They're just so insane. There's a chariot that has arms. One of them has like a bone whip that's just flying around. There's a knife bow sword, and then there's also an extending spear. Like they have a spear and then you go, ha! And it extends out. I drew a picture of it. That's what it looks like. It is iconic, honestly. It's insane. It's fun. It's campy. I like it. I'm having a good time. There is also this like fun little thing where every time they're talking about like these legends, it turns out not to be true. They're talking about how like this war they're fighting against, the evil people they're gonna go fight. There's centaurs. There's evil centaurs.
Centaurs? They're real.
And then they see them on a hill. They see the centaurs. And then like the camera pans and it's just like guys on a horse. Like the sun is distorting their silhouette, so it makes them look like centaurs. It makes them look like, mythological monsters. And it's just guys on a horse.
Centaurs?
I actually really do like that. It was a very interesting take. At one point, Hercules gets captured and they take off his shirt. That was the note. That's the whole note that I wrote down. Also, later on, it turns out that the king of Athens, I think they're hired by the king of Athens. I don't remember. Turns out he killed Megara. Oh! No, I actually don't remember what was going on here. Anyway, it turns out the king is evil. Rebecca Ferguson's dad is, in fact, a bad man. And he is trying to kill her and also her son in order to maintain power. And I think she's like, hey, Hercules, please don't let him kill my son. That is my son. He's a child. And Hercules is like, I guess I'll do the right thing. As for questionable things, remember how I just mentioned there was a child? Earlier in the film, they did have the child say the line, exciting bondage. I wrote that down because it deeply upset me. But I want you all to know that that is an actual line in the movie where they had a child say, exciting bondage. Who wrote these movies? Jesus Christ. Anyway, we get to the end of the movie. Titius dies. Atalanta's fine because she's the only girl there. You can't kill all the women, unfortunately for the filmmakers. But Rebecca Ferguson also lives. And guess what? Her and Hercules don't have a romantic relationship. Oh my God, I cannot stress that enough. Hercules is like, my wife died and I'm still sad about that. And they do not fill that void in his life with another woman. Oh my God, this like actually calls for celebration. I know, insane, right? A woman who's not a sexual object, but she has a kid. So like she's disqualified, right? Anyway, the very last note that I have about this movie is that the king got some head. Anyway, 2014's Hercules starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Honestly, I gave it like a 7 out of 10. It was surprisingly not bad. Also, my rating scale for these movies is gonna be vastly different from like an actually good movie that I would watch. A 10 would be like, I would recommend this to someone. It's fine. So this movie gets a 7. Do I want to watch it again? No, but I will watch that battle sequence again. Those weapons were insane. The movie that I was most excited to watch out of any of these movies, this is a movie from 2011 that stars Henry Cavill as Theseus. We've got Mickey Rourke, Luke Evans, Kellen Lutz from Twilight. He plays Emmett. We got Emmett up in this bitch. It also has John Hurt again as, quote, old man. And last but not least, we also have Daniel Sharman. If y'all watched Teen Wolf, he was Isaac in Teen Wolf. Now, if you see Isaac from Teen Wolf, you think, wow, if he was going to be anyone in this movie, if he was going to play any of the gods, who would he be? You are right in thinking Apollo. He would be the cutest little Apollo in the world. Wrong, he plays Ares. Anyway, we have Luke Evans as Zeus and Kellen Lutz as Poseidon. Now, there are other gods in here. I don't want to talk about them. There are also none of them are important. It doesn't matter. This movie is insane. For this movie, turns out, you know, like the War of the Titans in Greek mythology, that didn't happen. The Titans are inherently bad people who got into a fight over a bow. And in losing, they got sealed into Tartarus, which is not, in fact, a level of the underworld. It's a mountain. They got put in a cage in a mountain. Don't question it. There is this king called King Hyperion. He is a bad man. He wants to free the Titans. We don't want that to happen. That would be a bad thing. Anyway, that's the whole plot of the movie. Henry Cavill is trying to stop him. I looked for this movie everywhere. It was not on any streaming platform. And I was not going to fucking pay for this thing. After like weeks and weeks of searching on every single streaming platform that I could, I found a copy of it at my local public library. I love the library. I picked this bitch up from my library. I ran home and I watched it like 8 weeks later. I kind of forgot about it. Also in this movie, the actor whose name I do not know, I only know him as Grandpa Ding Ding from Breaking Bad. He was also in Scarface, which I watched recently. Anyway, Grandpa Ding Ding is also in this movie. And guess what? Within the first 5 minutes, he was set on fire. This man and explosions do not go well together. Anyway, I would like to say that this movie is so 300 coded. It's from the same producers, and you can tell the color grading is atrocious. I do want to point out that in the beginning, there is the worst firewood axe cutting scene I have ever seen in my life. They gave big strong man Henry Cavill an axe, and it goes horribly bad. I don't know what they were trying to fucking do, but like it's atrocious to watch. It's very funny. Henry Cavill is playing Theseus. You would never know that he was playing the character of Theseus from Greek mythology, besides the fact that his name is in fact Theseus, and there is like a teeny tiny little snippet that's like an allusion to Theseus and the Minotaur. There's basically just a weird man in a bull mask who he has to defeat in a cave, and I guess after watching it you realize that the cave is supposed to be the maze. That's it. That's the amount of Greek mythology we get in this. Unrelated to that, we cut up to the gods in the sky. Zeus is like walking down a corridor, and in the back there's a statue, and the statue moves, and it's a naked woman, and he's like, Athena, there you are. And she's like, hello, father, it's me. And they have a really weird sexual tension that's going on, and I don't know whether or not the movie's trying to imply that Zeus and Athena are fucking, but that's definitely what I got from this. I don't like that. So anyway, she is our woman of this movie. She is the only... No, there are other women in this movie. There is Theseus's mom, who is killed. There's also a virgin prophet. She has the wonderful dynamic of being a beautiful woman who is given the title of virgin prophet and therefore must stay a virgin so that she can have her like prophecies, whatever. And in doing so, all of these men hit on her and she says, no, I don't want to sleep with you. And their immediate reaction is whore. Wait, how? If you're gonna choose one insult, at least let it be accurate. Come on, men. Do a little thinking. Also, in my notes, I just wrote down that Hyperion has the worst helmet I've ever seen in my life. I don't remember what it looks like, but it's probably pretty bad. Let's see. Hyperion helmet. Immortals. Hyperion mask. What is this thing? Oh, God. Oh, no, I was right to say that that was the worst helmet I've ever seen in my life. That's, in fact, the worst helmet I've ever seen in my life. He looks like his face is in a coochie with teeth. Moving on. At one point, they are in the desert, and Theseus needs to drink water because they're in a desert, but he doesn't want to. He wants to die because he's sad because they killed his mom, and also his life sucks. So some hot ladies go up and baby bird him water. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So remember how I said there was like the virgin prophet lady? Anyway, everyone wants to sleep with her except for kind of Theseus, but also kind of Theseus. Guess who ends up sleeping together? Now, I don't know this for a fact. However, when I was watching this movie, once again, I got it from my public library on physical media DVD. It got to a scene where someone was hurt. Someone was laying in a bed, the other one walked over, and my DVD player fucking exploded. The DVD was scratched, and it overheated severely. Anyway, I was able to skip like 3 scenes ahead and finally skip over the scratched part. So truly, we'll never know what happens in that bed. Maybe they smooch, maybe they don't. I don't know. The next thing I knew, Ares was falling from the sky. Like, all of the gods are in Mount Olympus, like, watching things happen, but they're like, we can't interfere. No, that would be bad. But then they all interfere, and then Zeus is like, well, I guess we gotta just go down there anyway. I also wrote down that Luke Evans and James McAvoy have the same face. They do. I was right. Now, remember how I said that Zeus didn't want the gods to be involved? Poseidon got involved on his own, and nothing was done about it. Ares got involved on his own, and Zeus took this out on him by killing him. He killed Ares and then immediately went to join like Theseus's side in the war. I'm going to say, real stupid move. You should not kill the god of war and then start a war. Critical thinking is at an all-time low. However, we do get the gods now involved in the fight. They are attacking the Titans. It doesn't matter. The gods have the worst costumes I've ever seen. These are fucking like Hunger Games tribute ass costumes. They are so gaudy and ridiculous and impractical. Also, all of the gods die. That shows you how well this armor, this godly armor is developed, because every single one of them fucking dies. Their weapons make no sense. Like, not only are their costumes shit, their weapons are shit. You know Zeus, how he's famous for that one weapon of his? What is that weapon again? You're right, it's a hammer. Athena, goddess of war. What does she use in these ancient Greek times? The ancient Greek weapon of Mini scythes, you're right. Thank you. Poseidon does in fact have a trident, and that's the only way that you can tell that he's Poseidon. Also, he dies. Kellen Lutz, man down. I'm so sorry, Emmett King, we failed you. One of them has a chain. I don't know who it is. Now, we get to the end of the movie. Theseus is fighting Hyperion. Hyperion is a very bad man, you can tell, because he's the villain, and also at many, many, many points during this movie, has he directly threatened women with sexual violence for no reason other than, what was that again? 300 vibes. Thank you for answering. Anyway, he dies. Theseus also dies. And then we, I guess, cut to years later, there's a statue of Theseus in his homeland. And then we have the virgin goddess lady showing up. And then there's a kid in front of her. And then she's like, that's your dad. I fucking knew they had sex on that bed. I know it. At the end of Immortals, I do believe Henry Cavill wins by holding up a sword, and then it's electrified by Zeus, and then he stabs Hyperion with it. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to check in on that one. The very last thing that I wrote down is this movie ends with an upskirt shot of a man. Oh yeah. Did I mention that Henry Cavill also wears a skirt? It took 80 minutes to get Henry Cavill in a skirt, but we got him there. Hell yeah, brother. This movie, I would give a solid 3 out of 10. I don't know what was happening. Part of that is because I couldn't tell who was who. Part of it was because it was just very badly written. Also, it had the most women out of every movie and was also the most misogynistic out of any movie. Yeah, it was not good. Don't watch it. Henry Cavill was great, though. I think he's wonderful. Our second movie about Hercules, 2014's The Legend of Hercules, also starring Kellen Lutz, aka Emmett from Twilight. Now, in this movie, Kellen Lutz is playing Hercules. However, in this movie, his name is not Hercules. They call him something else because he's in hiding. That's the thing. Hera was very much like, you get to have my husband's child. That is an honor for you. She's not like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch. She's like, this is an honor for you, my fellow woman. So that's very weird. However, don't worry, they killed the woman because violence against women is the only answer in all of these movies. But anyway, we have Hercules. However, in this movie, he is undercover named Alcides. Alcides' father knows that Hercules is not his kid, and he also has like a trueborn son, and the king and the trueborn son, whose name I don't remember and I don't care to remember, they both hate Alcides, aka Hercules, aka Helen Lutz, aka Emmett from Twilight. There is a woman in this movie named Hebe. She is the princess of Crete, and she also apparently does not know how to swim. She's from Crete. That is an island. Girl, you need to know how to swim. Anyway, the brother wants to marry Hebe. However, Hebe is actively in a relationship with Alcides, aka Hercules. The dad and the brother want Hercules out of the way, so they send him to go fight in a war in Egypt. I don't know. They just send him out of the way and they're like, hey, he's gonna die. And then the brother's like, I'm gonna get Hebe all to myself. That's it. That's pretty much the end of the plot. Hercules wants to come back and be like, Hebe, I love you. And also my brother and father are corrupt. They kill the mom because she had an affair with Zeus. The brother tells Hebe that he should either love her like she loves Hercules or she should kill herself, and then she tries to. By the way, I love Hebe. Let's be clear. She's incredible. Remember when I said we were in Egypt at some point? There's a white man with horrendous cornrows in Egypt, being the Egyptian man. Also, Heracles, when he is abroad, he is put into like a gladiatorial like fight ring. He wins. Oh my god, the fight scenes in this movie are so bad. All of these fight scenes look like they're very heavily choreographed, but like not in a way that's good, in a way that's like the people in the background are just like waiting for their cue to run in instead of like stabbing the person who's wide open. And also they use slow-mo cameras at every single opportunity possible. They bought those slow-mo cameras with company money and they were going to get the most out of them. They were going to write that shit off for taxes. There's at least one shot that's for like the 3D movie experience. I hate those. They're so bad. They're never good. They were never going to work out. But it's very clearly one of the ones that's like, you know what I'm talking about? It's bad. It's so cheesy. There's only one of them too. Why, if you're gonna make a movie 3D, fucking go balls to the walls. Make the entire thing for 3D. Don't just have one shot in there that's like, whoa! Do that for every single shot. Make it as impractical as possible. However, this movie also ends with him raising up a sword to the sky and it being electrified by Zeus, and then him winning with the electrified Zeus sword. Anyway, the brother takes Hebe hostage at some point and is like, Alcides, if you do anything, I will kill Hebe. And Hebe's like, I'm not gonna be a fucking hostage for you. And she takes the knife and she stabs herself and she's like, you win, Hercules. The next scene, she's completely fine and also giving birth to a child. I don't know what happened there. All in all, I would say this movie gets a solid 6 out of 10. Unlike the other movies, nothing outrageously offensive happened, which is why I love it. Also, I don't actually think it had a plot. Like, things were just happening. I don't know if anyone thought this out beforehand, or they're just like, we'll just film it in chronological order and go from there. So it was bad. However, it did have Hebe, and I love her. So 6 out of 10.
6 hours later.
All right, hello, we're back. Pardon the interruption. We had some visitors here. Not for me, of course, for the dog. I'm watching a dog. Hey, Bean. No, she hates me. That's fine. Anyway, where was I? Now, this is another movie that I looked for everywhere on streaming. I couldn't find it. I wasn't gonna fucking pay for it. But lo and behold, my public library has it on DVD available to borrow. So I borrowed the hell out of it. At this point, all of the remaining movies I got from my public library. If there was a movie that was on my list that I wanted to watch and it wasn't available at the public library, I decided I don't need to watch it. My public library doesn't have it available for me. The gods don't want me to watch it. So unfortunately, Noah, starring Emma Watson and Russell Crowe, was on the chopping block. I think Logan Lerman was also in that movie. I don't care. I didn't watch it, and I'm not going to. Clash of the Titans. This being on DVD, I did have to sit through the trailers beforehand, and oh my god, were these so very 2010s. The commercials that I got before this movie were for Inception and also Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. First off, Christopher Nolan has never let me down, except for the fact that he did include Casey Affleck in Oppenheimer. No, bad call. Don't give that man any jobs. However, I am kind of excited for the Odyssey. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole. That animation is so beautiful. Were y'all Guardians of Ga'Hoole kids or were you Warriors kids? Please let me know. I was neither. I just learned how to read. Anyway, this movie is also wild. It is about a man named Perseus, who is also the son of Zeus. Wow, insane. How does that happen? The people of Argos are at war against the gods for no reason, quite frankly. It's never explained. It doesn't matter. The gods are like, we're going to crush them. In a series of unfortunate events, Rafe finds is Hades and also kills Perseus's family. This movie is starring Sam Worthington, Liam Neeson, Rafe Fiennes, not Joseph Fiennes. Joseph Fiennes was in the earlier movie. Rafe Fiennes is in this movie. Also Mads Mikkelsen, Nicholas Hoult, Kaya Scodelario. Also Luke Evans, again, not playing Zeus this time, playing Apollo this time, as well as some various cast members from Game of Thrones, that being Liam Cunningham, aka Davos Seaworth, my man. And also Rory McCain is in the background, Rory McCain being the Hound. I gotta say, I have like a fucking sixth sense for people who are in Game of Thrones for recognizing them on screen. Literally, they showed Rory McCann for like half a second and I fucking zeroed in on it. I was like, I know you! However, this is not about him. He dies immediately. Everyone dies in this movie except for Sam Worthington and also the gods. In this movie, Hades gives birth to the Kraken because Zeus tricked him. I don't know if this is ever stated in any other mythology besides this movie, because Hades is famously infertile, and also the Kraken? Question mark. Rafe Fiennes, a fun thing that he does throughout the entirety of this movie is whispers. He was in Voldemort zone in this, where he was just like, Zeus, my brother. And that's pretty much all of his dialogue.
Interesting.
However, the fucking CGI that they use for like Hades effects are so sick. It's so sick. It's like this very like shadow monster, like evil being. It looks very much like a live action version of Nightmare, the guy from Rise of the Guardians, not Legends of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, Rise of the Guardians being the DreamWorks animated movie with Jack Frost where he's Chris Pine and everyone wants to fuck him. You know the one I'm talking about? Nightmare, the guy played by Jude Law. Jude Law will come back again later. Don't you worry about that. However, that's like the kind of visual effects we're working with here. It's very pretty. Also, Olympus looks bad. The scenes where they show the gods on Mount Olympus, I can't tell what's going on. Everyone is glowing and under like 5,000 filters. It's something to behold, really. In keeping up with our wonderful track record of misogyny, the first woman that we see on screen is in fact dead. She is a corpse. She has never once been alive. That's a new record. Also, I do want to say my biggest gripe with this movie, Zook is shown in his notorious eagle form as a bald eagle. Bald eagles are not native to Greece. In Greece, there are golden eagles. In the United States, there are also golden eagles. However, why is he a bald eagle specifically? That seems like propaganda. I'm the type of person that's gonna nitpick about that, and I will nitpick about that. I love birds of prey. They're so very cool. Also, golden eagles are way bigger. Like, if you want to get into fucking, like, bird semantics with me... Anyway, we're moving on. Also, the costume department for this movie said that every single man will be wearing eyeliner, and they made sure that every single man was wearing eyeliner. For some reason, they pull a robot owl out of a treasure chest. This is never explained and never brought up again. This is another movie where Zeus impregnates a woman and then the husband of said woman is mad about it. Guess what? He kills her. Wow, imagine that happening. Anyway, the king gets fried at some point. I don't know. Hades has him as his minion then and needs to like give him power. So he kind of like sucks face with him, but like in a non-gay way. Like, I literally wrote down Qualion ass spiritual power sharing, but the Chinese government censored version, because I truly believe that this is how the Chinese government would go about showing two men kissing, but making sure that like you only think it's for power sharing, not for tongue. Got it? By the way, the point of this movie is like they send Perseus on a mission to basically hunt down Medusa so that he can then take Medusa's head to kill the Kraken, so that Hades does not kill the princess of Argos, who he's like, hey, I'll kill her in a week. I don't know why. He gets a band of people together to go hunt down Medusa. There's also one more woman in this movie who I've yet to mention. That is Io. You might be thinking, Io, that's the lady who Zeus also slept with and turned into a cow. Yes, but in this, she is only a hot lady who Zeus did in fact sleep with. But she is a person 100% of the time. Every time she shows up in a scene, it's like the Office meme of Angela just appearing behind Dwight. There's no context for her being there. There's no introduction. She literally just like shows up in the corner and like walks into frame. I would say this is maybe like 30 minutes into the movie. At this point, I was thinking, you know, it's not great, but honestly, like the movie's not that bad. I'm actually kind of enjoying it. And then the giant scorpions pop out of the ground. From this point on, the movie kind of turns into a hybrid of Greek mythology, Transformers, and Pacific Rim. I love Greek mythology and I love Pacific Rim. However, it is mostly kind of Transformers vibes. And then they go on to fight Medusa. Io gives this very long explanation where she's like, I cannot go to fight Medusa because, you know, here's the story of Medusa, and tells the story of how Medusa was a woman who was assaulted by the gods, and then Athena being also mad at her for some reason, turned her into a monster. And she's like, that was the gift that Athena bestowed onto her. The women cannot enter the lair, sort of thing. But anyway, Io stays outside. Everyone else goes in and fucking dies. There is a very weird line that Mads Mikkelsen gives. By the way, Mads Mikkelsen looks like a centaur, but just the man part. I know that sounds like I'm saying he just looks like a guy, but like if you see a picture of him, he looks like a centaur, but just the guy part. Yeah. Anyway, given the whole backstory of, Medusa's origin, they go into the cave. Mads Mikkelsen is the last one alive, and he kind of sacrifices himself in order for Perseus to succeed and kill Medusa. However, the line he gives is something about like, this is from all the men, or like, this one's for the guys. I understand that he's trying to say that this is for all of his slain comrades. However, it sounds like that this is his revenge on behalf of men who assaulted Medusa, them getting them comeuppance on Medusa, for she is a bad person for taking revenge on them. That's the vibe it comes off as. It's not good. Anyway, Perseus is able to leave the cave of Medusa that's also in the underworld for some reason. Don't question it. Anyway, as soon as he walks outside, before going into the cave, him and Io were making goo-goo eyes at each other. So obviously, upon leaving the cave, Io was stabbed and killed in front of him by the King Trader guy who got face-sucked by Hades. Yeah? Okay, good. We're following. Sam Worthington, Perseus kills him, then goes back to Argos. Hades does literally say the line, release the Kraken. Kraken is not, in fact, an octopus monster. Well, it kind of is an octopus monster, but it's more like kaiju octopus. This is where the Pacific Rim part comes in. He shows Medusa's head to the Kraken and it freezes the Kraken. And also there is another Zeus sword lightning strike moment where he holds up his sword and it's, electrified by Zeus, and then he destroys Hades with it, but Hades is still alive. That's the end of the movie. And also Io was brought back to life. Oh, I wrote specifically, Zeus brought her back to life for bonking. Which one of them will bonk her, I don't know. I think it's probably going to be Sam Worthington. Anyway, Ramin Djawadi did the music for this movie, and it fucking slaps. Ramin Djawadi also did the music for Game of Thrones and Pacific Rim. I love the guy. Come on, and welcome to the gym. Have y'all heard the hybrid of the Space Jam soundtrack with the Pacific Rim soundtrack? It's insane. It's so good. Honestly, as bad as this movie was, it was very fun. I want to give it like a 7 out of 10 because I watched it, I had a good time, and I thought, you know what? I will actually watch Wrath of the Titans. However, Wrath of the Titans was not available at my public library. I looked it up online. Where can I stream Wrath of the Titans for free? HBO popped up and is like, you can watch it here. I clicked on it and it's like, no, you can't, you fucking clown. We got you. So no Wrath of the Titans for me. However, 7 out of 10. When my love said to me. Next up, we have Exodus, Gods and Kings. This is a movie that, in hindsight, after watching, I don't think should be included here. However, I did have to sit through 2.5 hours of this movie, so I'm gonna include it just for that sake. It's a more like serious sort of movie. It is based on like the Exodus story of, like the Hebrews escaping from Egypt. It's directed by Ridley Scott, who directed Gladiator and most importantly Gladiator 2, aka the only one I've seen. And it's 2.5 hours long and it's so boring. I never want to see this movie again. There's nothing bad about it except Prince of Egypt is better and shorter and better. Prince of Egypt is one of the greatest movies ever made. I will fight anyone on that. If you want to know about the story of Exodus, just watch Prince of Egypt instead. Okay, we're good. Joel Edgerton is Ramses in this movie. He is a white man who they put a lot of fake tan on in order to make him look Egyptian. Yeah, for our woman-hating factor, we have Talisa Sand from Game of Thrones, another Game of Thrones alumni in here. She shows up and she is a prophet. She gives them a prophecy that they don't like, and they're like, fuck that bitch, I hate her. Anyway, that's where we're starting off there. Honestly, this movie was not super mythology heavy, except that the entire thing is, you know, the myth of Moses. Most of the people in it, in power in Egypt, are white. The main cast includes Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver, Aaron Paul, John Turturro, Ben Kingsley. I will give this movie so much credit because there are no sex scenes in this movie. However, there are 2 scenes between Moses and his wife that are like leading up. Both instances, we are given verbal consent on camera, which then proceeds into, you know, like more intimate acts, which are not shown on scene. 2 out of 2 instances of verbal consent. That's the bare minimum, people, and we got them. We got them good. You know how in the story of the Exodus, Moses talks to God? In this iteration, the God is depicted as a child, and also a child that only Moses can see. So it will be just Christian Bale like yelling and arguing with a child, and then it cuts to someone else's point of view, and it's just him screaming at nothing. It's very funny. Also, they did have some nice CGI crocodiles. That's how they started the plagues. Instead of like just the Nile turning into a river of blood, they just sent a bunch of crocs out there and started murdering people. That was fun. That was great. But overall, it was objectively better than all of the other movies. However, I would not recommend it to anyone. Once again, Prince of Egypt. You should watch that instead. Anyway, I gave this a 6.5 out of 10. The 6.5 points are all for the verbal consent. The verbal consent was a big factor in that. Hell yeah. But not a fun movie, and I will never watch it again. Okay, that is all. Goodbye.
Young man came from hunting, faint and weary.
All right, last but not least, our final movie for the evening, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. This is a movie that I have a deep, deep history with. Now, when the Comic-Con trailer for this movie first released in 2016, I was obsessed with it. I watched this trailer so many times that, like, to this day, I could give a fucking shot-by-shot replay of this trailer, the specific one that I'm thinking of, from memory without having seen it for 7 years. I had this trailer memorized. I was so excited. I was hyping this up like no one else. I watched the movie and I have never been more disappointed in seeing a movie in my life. It was awful. I hated it. However, when I was thinking of this whole idea, I was like, I have to include King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, because nothing screams bad mythology movie quite like King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It stars Charlie Hunnam, also Jude Law, Eric Bana, Jaimin Honsu. Jaimin Honsu is such a good actor in everything. David Beckham is also in this movie for no reason. We also have Aidan Gillen, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, as well as Michael McElhatton, Roose Bolton from Game of Thrones, Kingsley Ben-Adir, last but not least, Katie McGrath. Katie McGrath makes a comeback in the King Arthur universe once again. She is on screen for about 30 seconds and then she's killed once again. I swear to God, these people hire Katie McGrath just to kill her. Katie McGrath. I know it's Katie McGrath. Deep in my heart, I know that it's Katie McGrath, but I did not say that. Anyway, they kill her. That's fine. Yay, that's what she's best at. First of all, this movie opens up to a bunch of elephants. That's fun. I love war elephants. Anyway, we have Katie McGrath being murdered. 30 seconds later, another woman is murdered. We love to see it. So, if you know Arthurian legends, there is Uther Pendragon, who is the silliest named motherfucker in all of the lands. I love his name. There's Uther Pendragon is the king. Uther's brother is Vortigern. Vortigern? I don't know. I just wrote Jude Law. His brother is Jude Law. Jude Law is an evil sorcerer man, and he kills his wife and also his husband's wife and also... No, that's not right. He kills his wife and also his brother's wife and also his brother. And then Arthur gets away. Arthur is put in a boat and he's sent down the river like Moses. He is picked up by a bunch of prostitutes and raised in a brothel. So that's fun. So this movie is directed by Guy Ritchie. If you don't know Guy Ritchie, he also directed the Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law Sherlock Holmes movies, that being Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. These movies are so much fun. I love them. That is one of the reasons why I was really excited for this movie, because I was like, oh, I love those movies. Disappointment. The way this movie is edited and like the dialogue in it is so Guy Ritchie. It's like almost painful. It's very fast paced and like very attention grabby, but at least it's kind of fun. Anyway, this is what I mean by it's very Guy Ritchie. This is like the entire movie.
That's the spoil from the boats.
Then we heard George had trouble again last night. I mean, me out the front.
Which George? King George, Angry George, George the Dragon? Be clear, Arthur, which George?
Our George. Chinese George. Kung Fu George.
George?
Now, for our misogyny portion of this movie, Arthur, he's a feminist. Like, he loves women. He was raised in a brothel, and he is a good man, and he will protect these women. And the way that this is shown is through committing violence against these women to get a reaction out of Arthur. Yay! That's so much fun. I love that. That was a great choice. Anyway, Jude Law knows that the child, Arthur, escaped, and he's trying to get him back to pull the sword from said stone. And David Beckham is like the captain in charge of this. He's only in that one scene. I don't know why he's there. Anyway, he got top billing for that movie. Remember when I said Game of Thrones recognition senses were through the roof? Well, a man is shown on screen for, I don't know, half a second, and I go, wow, that guy looks familiar. I wonder what he's in. House the Dragon. It's Freddie Fox playing Gawain Hightower. I swear to God, this is a problem. Arthur pulls a sword from the stone. Anyway, Arthur meets up with Littlefinger, and Littlefinger's trying to like provoke him into using the sword. And Arthur calls him Honey Tits. I wrote that down. I literally wrote down, this has no plot relevance. I just thought it was funny, and it was.
Put your ring back on, Honey Tits.
Now, for our most prominent female lead of this movie, we have a woman who is so fucking cool and also does not have a name. She is a mage, and her name is Mage. Not as in Mage is her name, as in she's just called Mage, because they're like, you, woman, sounded a little bit bad, so they gave her another title. However, she's the sickest fucking character in this entire movie. She has like warg powers where she can like control animals and fucking like go inside their conscience. It's sick. I love her. Anyway, the actual like more like mythological battle sequences in this movie are like so Dark Soulsy. Like, it literally looks like a video game cutscene rather than like the live action movie that you were previously watching. It looks like they sent this out to a team who was actively making a video game for this movie, but the video game got scrapped, and so they're just like, we'll just use the cutscenes in the movie. Just throw them in there. It doesn't matter. No one will ever know. Also, I wrote down that like the scenery in this movie is great. I don't know where it's supposed to be. It's not fucking England. If you've ever seen England before, this is not what England looks like. Now, a little bit before the finale, things are going bad for Jude Law. So what does he do? That's right, he kills more women in order to upgrade his own power. I love to see that. King Jude Law, when he is in his evil, like, powered up demon form, looks like Ares, but he's not. He's just Jude Law. And also, for some reason, he's shirtless and has abs. I don't know why that was in there, but he's on fire, and when they have their final fight scene, Arthur and him go into like this weird other dimension. Arthur goes on a snake venom induced drug trip for reasons unknown to me, and fights Jude Law, the Ares spirit monster, in order to finally defeat him with magic. Now, watching this movie the second time around, the first time me thinking this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, the second time around, I kind of think that they're onto something. And here's the thing. The same exact sequence of events happened to me watching Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. The first time I watched that movie, I went to a theater and saw it. I did not remember anything that happened in this movie. I remember they were on a train at some point, and that was it. And I hated that movie. And then the second time I watched that movie, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. And then the third time onward of watching that movie, I was like, fuck, this is a good movie. That being said, I don't want to watch King Arthur again. I think if I did watch it again, I might like it more. I do not want to watch it again, but it was definitely better than being, quote, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So for that, I will give it a 7 out of 10, mostly for Mage. I think she's so cool. There's also a man in here named George, and they call him Chinese George. He is a martial arts instructor and then also becomes one of the Knights of the Round Table. Shout out to Chinese George. I think you're great and you deserve better than this movie. Anyway, those are all of the shitty mythology movies that I watched. If you know of any that I missed out on, please let me know. I would love to watch more. I did ask for some recommendations on here earlier. Some of you I have personal beef with. Some of you said Hercules, and I think you're talking about the Disney version of Hercules. First off, that's one of my favorite movies ever. Fuck you. That movie is incredible. It is not great, but Meg is so hot and so cool. And also, Hercules is in a miniskirt the entire time. No comment. Also, I will get around to watching Troy at some point. Don't you worry. That wasn't from the 2010s, so I didn't include it here. But that movie's also like 3 hours long. That's like a whole thing. I gotta sit down for that. Anyway, yeah, that was all. To the one person out there who asked for more Greek mythology movies, I fucking got you. It has taken some time, but here you go. This is all for you, my love. Also, if things seem a little disorganized, I have filmed 2 videos within the last 24 hours, both of which I have spent multiple months working on. And my brain is cooked. However, we're done with all of these. My brain is now free to enjoy other things. The other one being a video coming soon about Yowie. I don't want to talk about it. You'll see soon enough. Anyway, if you like this sort of video, I have another one that I will be working on that will hopefully come out within the next few months about more Greek mythology related movies of a certain kind. Okay, bye. Oh, the King Arthur trailer. Don't even get me fucking started on this. Hold on. We're gonna look this up. Here, the trailer. I don't even need to look it up. I can tell you exactly what happens. So, here's the thing. The trailer. It opens up to this, like, second person shot of like a camera right up in someone's face and they're fucking running. It's like so shaky cam. It's very Hunger Gamesy, and they're just like running through the streets, and then it cuts to another person, and then it cuts to an overhead shot of them running through like these city streets that kind of look like a maze, but like there's bombs going off in the air, and it's very jumpy all over the place. And then it goes through like this whole fucking like Guy Ritchie. It's a very Guy Ritchie sequence. I don't know what he's doing there, but like it goes through this whole thing. It doesn't matter what they're talking about. But then we get to the scene. Oh, and in the beginning, the music, when it like starts to roll up, it's just like shoom, shoom, and it's like shackles going down. It's like sha, sha, sha. You wanted prophecy. And then it cuts to this song, and it's like, a young man came from hunting, faint and weary. Such a sick song, by the way. Oh my god, it was so good. And eventually we get to the scene with Arthur, and he's like, there's an army of you and there's only one of me. I'll talk. I'd be happy to talk, but there's no way that I am fighting. And then it immediately cuts to him fighting. He's just fucking going down on people. And then it just keeps on going. It's like, this young man, he rises still. And this song is so great. And then there's another shot of him where he's just like shirtless and angry, and he just starts going like, ah! That one's great. There's a shot of like an eagle flying in with like a snake in its tail, and they're just going like, ah! And it's like flying over Camelot. And it's so good. Oh my god, and there's a shot of Jude Law like standing in front of a crowd where he's just like, ah! And, oh my god, he has this armor set that's so fucking cool too. Oh my god, there's another scene where he is just like in the mud, and he pulls the sword out of the mud, and he just he looks up in the sky and starts screaming. And it's like him like going into the sunlight, and it's all this shit stuff. It's fucking beautiful. It's so good. I love this trailer. Oh my god, this trailer was everything to me. I don't know why I put all of my hopes and dreams into this one movie trailer, but it got me so good. Have I talked about how much I love movie trailers? There are so many movies that I love the trailers for more than the actual movies. The list consists mostly of this movie trailer, and then also the Age of Ultron trailer that's set to like the really slow version of the song from Pinocchio, and it's like the I Have No Strings on Me. That trailer was fucking fire and that movie was garbage. I saw that movie twice within the first 2 opening days of it. Such a bad movie. Anyway, oh yeah, let's see how right I was about this.
I woke up. From where? From a nightmare. What was it about? Then, me and
Because for the first time, there's something you don't know.
You wanted the prophecy. This is your prophecy.
Young man from hunting, faint and weary.
There's an army of you. There's only one of me. I'll talk. I'm happy to talk, but there is no way that I'm fighting.
Where's my shot of the bird? Did I miss the shot of the bird? No. No, I didn't miss. Where's my shot of the bird? Where's my shot of the bird? I know the shot of the bird is in here. That might be from a different trailer. I watched many of these trailers. That's fine. It doesn't matter. We're fine on this. Anyway, I have a problem. Bye.